Hello and welcome to our September Microsoft Viva community call. We have some great content here for you today. My name is Lucy Hitz. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft Viva, and I'll be your host today and all other months. So before we get started with our content, just want to remind folks of our digital event code of conduct. This is true, of course, for every Microsoft call or event. We expect all digital event participants to uphold our code of conduct. So no disruptive or disrespectful behavior, messages, images, or interactions, and we will not tolerate harassment or discrimination based on age, ancestry, color, gender, identity or expression, national origin, physical or mental disability, religion, sexual orientation, or any other characteristic protected by applicable local laws, regulations, and ordinances. Basically, be nice, take this time to learn, and just be kind to one another. So our agenda today is news and announcements. I'm going to share a little bit about Viva's presence at HR Tech this year, if you are going to be at that event, and ways to connect with us there. And then we have a really great special topic. We have Mike Walsh, Mike Holsty, and Mark Straitmans here to share with us 5 ways to accelerate workforce transformation with Microsoft Viva in their respective product areas. So a lot of really great kind of tactical information here today, and also a great opportunity to ask these product leaders, anything that comes to mind when it comes to using Viva to accelerate workforce transformation in your own organization. So HR Tech is happening, can't believe it, next week, September 24th to 26th in Las Vegas. We'd love for you to stop by our booth. You can join the conversation, see some of these demos of our latest features, meet the Viva team. We will also have some great swag, of course. And then special opportunity here to participate in our Glint Insights and Pulse Customer Roundtable discussion. So this is your chance to engage with our product experts who will be on site, ask questions, gain valuable insights into how Viva can support your organization's transformation strategies. So a really great follow-up to what you learn and hear about on this call, and we hope you join us. So you can contact Jay Gonzalez at Microsoft.com if you'd like to sign up, or you can also just contact me directly, and I will put you in touch. So with that, 5 ways to accelerate workforce transformation with Microsoft Viva. So Microsoft Viva, as we know, is this engine which through communication, skilling, and measurement really helps enable the AI transformation that so many organizations are going through and kind of taking advantage of right now. So I've asked the team to come together and sort of share exactly how does this happen? Exactly how do we use Viva to do this? Because something we hear from customers a lot is there's so much value, but how do we kind of direct it in a way most useful for our organization? And so this presentation is designed to really shed light there and get into the details. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Mike and Mark to talk about the first way to accelerate workforce transformation with Viva, and that's accelerate speed to understanding employees, and not only that, taking action on it. Over to you, Mike.
All right, first faux pas of the day. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Walsh. I'm Director of Product Marketing here with Viva, and I'm coming off mute to introduce my friend and colleague here, Mark Straitman, former people scientist at Glint, and now a product manager working on the products and features that we'll be going through today. So, Mark, you want to give folks a quick hi?
Yes, hi everybody, Mark here. Good to talk to all of you. Looking forward to discussing very tactical ways we could talk about accelerating your workforce. And so thank you, Mike, for the intro, and I'll hand it back to you.
All right, thanks. Okay, cool. Well, kind of let's looking at AI transformation and just workforce transformation in general. There's a lot of moving parts here with new technology and training and skilling and communications. But before we get to all that, it's really important to understand that all of this new technology really impacts the individual and the employee. And with Glint, we have new ways and a new feature that we're going to talk about now with our 360 product to help really employees understand their own skills, their own strengths, their own opportunity areas to grow and within and develop within their careers. Looking at new technology, but also looking at the softer side of career management. So again, we have a new 360 feedback tool within Glint, and it's really focused on helping individuals grow and develop within their career versus a performance management angle. And we see that in building out this product, when we did a survey of and kind of research at the landscape here, we saw that 85% of Fortune 500 companies are already using 360s as a core piece of their learning and development programs. So we're very excited to bring this type of capability right into Viva Glint. It's available now. A couple reasons why this is so important. One, I mean, we've all heard the kind of the phrase that feedback is a gift, but this is really kind of the foundation of the 360 model that we've developed here, because it is focused on growth and development versus that performance management. So these are helpful comments and feedback for folks to take to heart and to grow within their own careers. We also know that 360s offer a better viewpoint because it's collecting viewpoints from your peers, your manager, maybe your direct reports, and other stakeholders beyond just yourself. So those multiple viewpoints can really give people a better sense of self-awareness and understand their perception. And we all know that perception is reality. So really understanding how you're perceived within the workplace and how you might be able to improve upon that will really accelerate your career. Let's go to the next page here, Lucy. So I want to give you a quick view into 360 feedback itself. Again, this is available now. It came out last month within Viva Glint. And some of the key value props here are really that we've developed this product to streamline the process for HR and administrators. We know that it's a hassle and a pretty time-consuming project to administer these surveys, to set them up, to get the different peer feedback reviewers, to collect everything, to schedule it and to send out and to follow up and to get people to respond to feedback. So that has all been automated within our system. It's a very seamless system that we'll walk through in a product video here in just a second. But that really helps to unlock some of the hassle and burdens of setting up and administering these 360 feedback programs in the first place. It's also built with a ton of research back behind it in terms of the survey questions that we're going after and the prompts that we're asking folks to fill out about themselves, but also for those feedback providers to provide back to the feedback requester. All that's been vetted through our people science team that Mark was a part of, and so he can speak more a little bit about that in our presentation. And finally, we're not just providing feedback, but we're also suggesting recommendations and actions to take that feedback to heart and to grow within your career. So again, this feature is now available within Viva Glint. And with that, let's take a look at the quick video to show you how it all works.
360 feedback in Microsoft Viva Glint helps employees grow with input from peers, collaborators, managers, and more. A 360 feedback cycle has just launched, and it is time to select feedback providers. To help get started, Viva Glint is able to pre-populate the list of invitees with the employee's manager and direct reports. If needed, the employee can make edits to the pre-populated and add additional collaborators. Once satisfied, it is time to email invites. Next, as part of the 360 feedback cycle, the employee will take a self-assessment. Employees can reflect on their own strengths and opportunities while providing a baseline for comparison with the feedback received from others. At the end of a 360 feedback cycle, Viva Glint provides visualizations of the employee's strengths and opportunities based on feedback from their managers, peers, direct reports, and self-assessment. The report is designed to be interactive, helping to quickly identify specific opportunities for growth and strengths to leverage. Comments give the employee additional context for the rating. For example, here's an opportunity for the team to collaborate and communicate more with a recurring team meeting. In the All Responses tab, switch from List to Graph View to help visualize gaps and alignments from feedback provided. Let 360-degree feedback empower your company.
All right, let's go to the next slide here. That was, hopefully that gave you a good quick overview of the 360 product there and how it again moves from that setup process to the feedback creation process and to ultimately understanding the results and taking action. So with that, I'd like to bring in Mark for a quick little kind of Q&A fireside chat here. So Mark, thanks a lot for your research on pulling this product together. Maybe one of the questions I have posed for you here is like, why are we focused so much on development versus performance management here?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's a great question. It's the most common question we get when we talk about 360s, and it really comes down to incentives. So our goal is to get people the most candid, transparent feedback that's going to help them enact meaningful change within their professional lives, and alleviating the burden of what happens when I provide this feedback. So when it's performance related, people are often concerned of the impact their feedback will have, and they very often then curtail that feedback to make it look a little better, not be so direct. So that person potentially does not get negatively impacted. And we think that's a huge barrier to the process. We know that's a huge barrier to the process based on the research. So we really want to try to focus on what are we ultimately trying to do? We're helping people develop themselves professionally and often personally throughout this process. And to do that, we have to ensure that they get the most candid feedback. And we have to ensure that we want to maintain good relationships with those around them, right? You get negative feedback within the 360, it's related to performance. Maybe you don't get that bonus, maybe you don't get that promotion. And think about the reaction you may have to your colleagues who provided you that feedback. Whereas when it's developmentally focused, it's, oh, hey, here's an opportunity for me to address and accelerate my impact, as opposed to I'm now going to be punished if I receive less than stellar feedback throughout the process. So it's not to say if you use it for performance, you're doing something wrong. It's just to say that when we're trying to accomplish the goal of development, we really want to try to disconnect the two to help that individual get the information they need.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah, definitely trying to avoid the gaming of questions and just get really to the heart and the honesty of growth and development is awesome. So another question that I'm sure our customers are asking are like, how are we seeing folks put 360s into practice? Maybe what are, and yeah, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, there's some very common reasons and programs. It's often aligned to who are your high potentials in your organization, what is your succession plan, and so aligning those people to a more direct development process. We often see them as well with new hires, in particular new managers or new senior leaders. How are they acclimating to the role? What are ways in which we can accelerate their integration into their new role and into their new teams? And we will also occasionally see those who believe that everybody in the organization should get a 360, once or maybe twice a year. Now, we would love that to happen more often, but we also know it could be a bit laborious for everybody to go through the 360 process, all the feedback that is required, but nonetheless really want to think about how we can continue to provide and make 360 type development available to more folks while not increasing the burden on the organization. So that's definitely something top of mind for us to continue to make 360s more accessible than we already have today to a broader group so they can benefit from it. But those are some main program types or reasons why an organization may be running a 360. Of course, there's plenty more, and some maybe that's those are listening in may be able to share more about. But nonetheless, those are some of the most common use cases we see here.
Yeah. Are you seeing any kind of trends with 360s beyond just like the high performance, high potential type of programs?
Yeah, so what we're starting to see more of is an emerging desire or need to connect the 360 data to other data sets. So in our world, a very simple connection would be to engagement, right? What is the profile of my most engaged managers or leaders? What are the skills that they have? What are the strengths that they have? And ultimately, what our customers are wanting to answer is, what do I get for this effort? 360s can take time. They often take investment. Sometimes we have coaches involved, whether they're internal or external. And the toughest question still today for those who are running 360 programs to answer is, okay, well, what do we get for this? what's the impact on the individual, on the cohort, and on the business. So oftentimes connecting the 360 results to other data sets helps answer those questions. So those are discussions we continue to have, and those are paths we continue to look towards when we think about evolving the product. How can we answer those questions more proactively on the behalf of our customers?
That's cool. That makes me start thinking about how our three people who go through the 360 process, do they become more engaged and productive over time? Sounds like we are looking into that, so that's great to hear. And then how are Glint 360s, for the HR administrator and folks, how have we designed this to lighten their load?
Yeah, and a lot of this was covered earlier too. It's around leveraging the information you already provide us. So you send over your HRS data. Well, why can't we just leverage that to pre-populate some of those responders or feedback providers within the process for each individual? So that's one thing that we do. We also allow the subject, as we call him, the person who's the focal point of the 360 cycle, to modify the roster on their own. So an HR admin does not have to manually manage each set of feedback providers for everybody who might be participating in the program itself. And the third thing we do is we actually provide a well-researched, out-of-the-box Manager 360 program. I think it's, I believe, 18 questions. And based upon over 700 different items that were leveraged across many 360s, both in private practice and in academia, we were able to distill down where the most impactful facets of managerial success based on several criteria, and then provide that for free out of the box to our customers. So you can use it as is, you can use it as a great starting point and modify, or you can just compare it to what you have for inspiration. But we're really trying to just address some of the main barriers that we often see within 360s and what soaks up the most time that really doesn't deliver the most amount of strategic value, and try as much as possible to lift those burdens off of our administrators.
All right, great. Thank you. Thanks for the insights. Yeah, and folks have questions, please throw them in to the chat, and we can take a look as we go forward. Now, I want to shift gears a bit to another feature that we have within Viva Glint and Viva Insights. So we've talked a lot about how understanding change and driving transformation kind of starts within. But now I kind of want to zoom out and look at like, how are we with Glint? We know we have the ability to look at employee feedback and sentiment and how people are feeling and how they are engaged within the company. But Viva Insights gives us this opportunity to understand collaboration patterns and workplace patterns and how people are actually working, how much time they might be spending within a meeting or on chat or on email or after hours work. So those are the two separate products that we have within Viva itself. We also now have an integration between the two. So I want to talk a little bit about how sentiment and behavior coming together helps companies get this better holistic view of the employee experience. So now we can start combining the ways people feel versus how they work to really try to get a better understanding of employee engagement and what might be some of the workplace patterns that could be impacting engagement negatively. So next page here, Lucy. So our integration between Glint and Insights is in public preview right now. It will be GAing later this fall. In November is the target date. And within the Glint heat map, you can actually start to see if a customer has Glint and Insights together for a team or for an organization, they will be able to look at how certain workplace patterns are impacting these different drivers of engagement and be able to look at a heat map to see if there's different relationships or patterns that they're seeing when it comes to things like, for example, are people who are in more meetings, are they feeling more engaged or less engaged? Do they feel a better connection to their company? Do they feel more empowered? And so by being able to kind of see the relationships and how these things differ across teams and across groups and across drivers of engagement and different workplace patterns, we're able to improve the employee experience in those specific areas. So let's take a quick look at the video here to show you how this works.
Hi, I'm Nick Powers, and today I'll be showing you the first integration between two Microsoft Viva apps, Viva Glint and Viva Insights. For this demo, let's put ourselves in the shoes of an HR analyst coming into Glint to view results for the latest employee signal survey. We know manager one-on-one time has been a point of emphasis for our organization, so I'm curious to see how it relates to our Glint sentiment scores. Right away, we can see the same data that is presented in Glint today. We can see our engagement score of 71, which has declined by 8 points, response rate of 79%, changes in the question score since last cycle. We can see our strengths, belonging and work-life balance, our opportunities of manager recognition and empowerment, and now we can see how our organization's initiative of manager one-on-one time directly relates to engagement. In this table, we can see employees with less than 15 minutes of manager one-on-one time have the lowest engagement scores at 64. 15 to 30 minutes have engagement scores at 72, and employees with 30 to 60 or 60 minutes or more have even higher engagement scores at 78. This tells us employees with 30 minutes of one-on-one time with their manager per week is associated with higher engagement scores. While engagement is our outcome, let's see how manager one-on-one time is impacting other Glint scores. To do so, let's go to the heat map report where we can select manager one-on-one time and see how it relates to other drivers. Looking at a few of the different drivers here, work-life balance seems to show no relationship to manager one-on-one time, having consistent scores across the 4 ranges. Career growth tells a slightly different story. Employees with less than 15 minutes have lower career growth scores of 42, 15 to 30 minutes is a little higher at 51, and 30 to 60 and 60 minutes or more are even higher scores, telling us that career growth sentiment increases with manager one-on-one time, showing us managers should spend at least 30 minutes with their directs. And looking at empowerment, we can see that both employees with less than 15 minutes or more than 60 minutes of manager one-on-one time have lower scores, telling us there's a sweet spot between 15 and 60 minutes of manager one-on-one time. Since lower manager one-on-one time is related to both lower engagement and career growth scores, let's see what they're saying by viewing them in the comments report. On this report, we can filter by employees with less than 15 minutes of manager one-on-one time. Once applied, we can start to see what this group of employees are saying. Career growth and empowerment seem to be the top topics mentioned, along with disconnection, stagnation, and trust as some of the top mentioned negative sentiment keywords in the word cloud. And of course, we can always read through each anonymous comment topic by topic from within this report. The integration is just as easy to manage, letting admins easily add or remove behavioral metrics or programs, modify which roles have access to these key metrics, and even modify the ranges that data falls into. We are excited to add the ability to import Viva Insights behavioral data into Glint, and for our customers to better understand what might be driving sentiment. Thanks for watching.
All right, thanks a lot. So can you please bring up Mark, and we'll go to the next slide here. So Mark, I'm hoping you can walk through a little bit here on how, from a people science perspective, how might leaders and analysts look to, really take advantage of these insights and these combined insights together, and kind of like what's the process that they should be going through?
Yeah, and I won't go through each of these in great detail, Mike, because everybody can take a look at the slides. But generally speaking, you really want to start with your hypothesis. Like, think about your own organization and your people. What are you seeing? What do you believe to be happening within that organization? What is your area of focus? One thing, and we'll talk about this in a little bit as well, that we've learned throughout this process is behavioral data is very unique to an organization, to an industry, to a team. And it's really hard to take broad scale insights and apply them to your organization. There are some examples which I'll share a bit later. But nonetheless, it's really important to say, what do I believe is happening? What do I think is happening? And use that to drive the focus of your investigation, leveraging these data sets together. And then when you're able to put them together, clarify what are the different components where you see the relationships happening. I think the video you showed was a great example of going through and saying, well, it appears some things are related and some are not. And the things that we believe are related, let's continue to dig a little deeper and understand a bit better. What does that mean? Does the context still apply as we understand a bit more about this topic and dig in to the different types of data that we have? And then, of course, it's about connecting it to action. What are you trying to do when you are going through this process? So you have a hypothesis, you've identified some related behaviors that drive an outcome. How do you start to encourage the behaviors that you want? How do you set up your program, your approach, your intervention, whatever you want to call it, and start to track it to meaningful change so you know that you're making progress? And once you start to see these relationships between these different data, you can leverage one to anticipate the other. And so I think the manager one-on-one example we can pull through to here. Let's continue to look at these metrics that we know have a relationship now, And when, for example, manager one-on-one time starts to dip below that lower threshold of less than 30 minutes, we can actually proactively reach out to some folks, whether it's individual managers, whether it's more just at a leader level, to help encourage them to have more one-on-one time with their team before it becomes an issue. So you kind of have to build your own understanding of your own internal data and always think about how do we connect this to the actions and the new behaviors or habits that we want to drive within our organization, and then keep an eye on those to maintain progress towards those outcomes.
Great, thank you. All right, let's kind of get into a couple more questions there. So I know that this has been in private preview for a few months now. What are maybe some patterns or takeaways that you're seeing with our early customers using this integration?
Yeah, work patterns are very idiosyncratic for a lot of groups, right? It can heavily depend on company culture, like what is expected of everybody. It can heavily be dependent on role, what is expected within this role. I think engineers would be a fantastic example. They often work much later, but is that indicative of a lack of work-life balance? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So it's just really important to be able to focus on your own internal data sets and think about the context in which your teams operate. Because again, a behavioral metric may indicate one thing for a certain group and be at the same level for another group and have no relationship to that outcome. And so it's important just to understand that it is very personal data. Now, that said, there are a few more broad scale trends that we have noticed. So fewer after hours collaboration is related to better well-being scores. So it's not to say you can't work later if that works for your time. It's more like when I have to spend that time with others and I have to collaborate after standard work hours with others, it tends to impact well-being scores. The other is around uninterrupted focus time and the relationship between growth and the feelings of growth within an organization. So if you don't have time to think about your own development, to absorb the learning, it really does impede your ability to grow and develop. So uninterrupted time to get your job done, to reflect, to absorb information is really important to the growth within your role. And so those are some trends we have seen, and we're going to continue to learn, and we'll share more as that goes.
Awesome. Yeah, I kind of saw two similarities in your example there with too much collaboration, whether it be after hours or even during the workday, can impede some of that growth. So let me kind of just skip ahead to one last question here. So what are some examples of how customers might be using these two signals together, sentiment and workplace patterns?
Yeah, so there's the great example of the one-on-one time. We also had another example from a customer in which they noticed some barriers through the Glint score and the ability for people to get their job done. And when they looked into those barriers, what they found is the meetings that these people were having, many of them were status meetings, project update meetings. And those were heavily related to the scores of feeling like there are barriers to getting work done. So leveraging Viva Insights information, they were able to understand that there's a lot of time spent in these status update meetings. So what they did is they actually just re-engineered how they think about their project stand-up meetings and the recommendations for the broader company. And what that did is actually increase developer productivity by 10%. So just thinking about what are the systemic issues that we've seen, how we've currently done business, and how it may not be serving us going forward, was a great example of taking these two pieces of information, one, the Glint score that told us where to focus, two, the behavioral data from Viva Insights that said what is happening, like where are they spending this time, and then using that to make a more fundamental systemic change to how they manage their projects within the organization, was able to have a profound impact with, frankly, very little effort.
Yeah, that's awesome. And kind of as a preview for folks, we are working on another internal story, a customer story from Microsoft itself on how we're using these data sets together, looking at things like after hours collaboration across different countries and geographies, and seeing ways that we can improve that to drive better engagement, to drive increased retention. So please be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. All right, with that, I'm going to pass it over. Thank you, Mark. I'm going to pass it over to Mike Holste to talk us through tip number 2.
Great. Thank you, Mike. My name is Michael Holste. I am a senior product marketing manager on the Microsoft Viva team. And we are going to discuss a little bit about how communication can help with AI adoption and readiness. All right, so if we can just move ahead one slide. So what we're seeing, similar to the people side of adoption, we find that communication and just overall awareness of these tools is also uh, serving as a little bit of an obstacle right now with how organizations both adapt AI and get the most out of it and get that big ROI that they're looking for. We have quite a large survey you can find linked in this presentation, but right now a huge majority, around 85% of the survey of the respondents we surveyed suggested that their leaders are great at communicating change. So giving them the information they need to align and organize their labor and their tools and technology and what their employees are actually working on. But there's a little bit of a disconnect in that because only 55% or just over half of those individual contributors agree that the leadership does a great job of communicating what their expectations are and what tools they have available to them and then how they should actually be using them. So here at Microsoft, we've tried to help solve this problem by actually building in some communication and community features into our Microsoft Viva products that can help alleviate some of that pain point. And the first is available right now in Viva Amplify, which is a communications tool in the Viva suite. And this is the Copilot deployment kit, or Copilot deployment kit. I'll do a quick product demo of this in a couple minutes, but from a high level, when you're in this communications tool, you will see pre-built Copilot deployment campaigns and publications. So you can week by week ensure that you're consistently communicating out to your employees and you can provide helpful tips and tricks. And of course, these are templates, so they're easily customizable. You can add in your own logos, you can add in your own messaging and timing and details to ensure that it really meets the needs of your organization and your rollout plan. But this could help your organization understand what Copilot can do for them in their M365 apps that they're using every day. If we can jump forward one more slide, on top of the Copilot deployment kit, we've also just rolled out a new Viva for AI transformation pre-built campaign as well. So this, beyond just communicating the M365 Copilot, this actually shows how each individual Microsoft Viva module can be used to further your AI transformation, your enablement, your adoption, and in general, your overall success with AI. So we'll do a live demo. Of course, these are all public right now. We'll do a live demo of what this looks like in 1 minute, but we'll jump on to our third tooltip here, which is how we can accelerate AI transformation through community. So if we can go one more slide forward, there we go. So also in Viva Engage, which landed this summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, is a new Copilot adoption community template. This also introduces the idea and a new feature in Viva Engage called community templates that are available to network admins. When you go and try to create a new community, you actually get a preset list of tools that you can use to create the campaign info, easily upload a cover photo. You can onboard individual members. You can also get recommendations based on who actually already has Copilot licenses within your organization. So you don't have to do all that admin back-end work. You'll see that recommendation provided. You can import all of those users directly into the community. And then it actually leverages Copilot and AI to provide content recommendations so that you can get that conversation started. It will pre-write some tools and some tricks. You can post those both as questions or as conversations to help kind of stoke the fires and get folks using this. And so far, we've actually seen a huge pickup of this for our customers, ensuring that they're employees are able to socially learn together and to post best practices, to reach out for help, to share ideas, to engage in campaigns, no pun intended. But now, enough of just the slideware. I'm actually going to take control here and I'm going to demo everything that we've just covered in the last two questions. Share my screen. To make this easier, I'm going to share my entire screen. All right, one more try here. Okay, I'm going to flip over into my demo tenant. Excellent. So here I am in Viva Amplify, and you can see I've clicked over into my campaigns tab, and here I get an entire view of every campaign that I am a communications manager of. And since I'm an admin in Amplify, I see right from the top these pre-built campaigns. So I'm going to get a signal here that I could either dismiss this or I could get started. For the sake of this demo, I'm going to imagine that I'd already pressed get started on here, and I'm going to choose this ready to send Copilot deployment kit. And now this is going to load up this campaign, and I can see each publication. So these are all in draft. I haven't set them yet. If I wanted, I could adjust the templates. I could bring in team members. I could chat with all of my co-communicators here. I can adjust the campaign brief to provide details about what this campaign is supposed to be about. And I could click into reporting and see how past publications have done across all of the channels that you can publish from in Viva Amplify. I'm going to jump into one of these so you can see what this looks like. So here, get ready for Copilot in Microsoft 365. As you can see, these are kind of organized by a phased weekly rollout. Of course, you could customize this and publish them according to your own organizational plan. But here I'm going to jump into this campaign, and we'll see it here in the editor. So this is pre-written. Of course, I can go and I can change any of this. I can choose edit. And I can see how this, which is scheduled to go to SharePoint News, is really just a combination of web parts. It's going to look familiar to you if you've used SharePoint or SharePoint Online or SharePoint Designer. I have stock imagery provided for me, and I can use all of this. I see these, the red font here, that this is a note to my author to insert my own personal details here before I send. And as I scroll down, I can see, the copy looks great. It has all of these tools. It links to external resources. It is authored with different audiences in mind. So there's resources dependent on your role. We also have the Microsoft adoption site, which will provide even more, templates, toolkits, resources of all shapes and sizes to help with your plan. And as I go back up, this all looks good to me. I'll go into next. I'll save this. And I'm going to see how this looks. So this can be published out now to a number of different channels. Here I can share it to Engage. If I want to share it as my own self, I can do that. I can also post it on behalf of an executive or another member. I could also post it on behalf of a team account if I want this to come from my organization and not from an individual. I can also select the community here, or I could post it to my own storyline if I so desired. And one powerful thing here is now when I flip into these other channels, so I want to share it to Engage, but I also want to share it to Outlook, you can see that Viva Amplify automatically reformats this content for me. So now it is in Outlook kind of newsletter style. I can go make sure all the information still looks accurate. Again, I get to choose who it comes from. I get to see what the subject line is going to look like. I can add any email addresses here or any distribution list to make sure it gets to all the right people. And then, of course, to ensure that, especially if this is going to be a really broad communication, I can send a test email to myself to make sure that this looks exactly how I want it to before I send it out. The same works for SharePoint. I can flip it over and I can see how this is going to look in SharePoint. It's going to be designed well for mobile and for desktop and web, of course. And lastly, of course, I can also send this as a Teams post, and I can post it to a Teams channel. And coming soon, we'll be able to post it to individual team chats, kind of at a one-to-many approach as well. Similarly to Outlook, I also get the ability to post a test message here, so I can see exactly how that looks. Now, one other part about Amplify is if I were to have gone back to that campaign view, once this campaign is live, I can go into the reporting and I can see that breakdown of its performance and reach across Engage, Outlook, SharePoint, and Teams. I can drill down to how it's behaving on each channel. I can even get trend data to see what the best time of day it is to post, where it's getting the most engagement, the reshares, kind of how viral is this going. So I can, of course, use that to influence when I publish something the next time. As promised, I also want to do a quick look at this Viva for AI transformation pre-built template. So this really drills down into exactly how you can use the Microsoft Viva modules to accelerate your Copilot ROI. So starting with week 0, you have the high level of just around Microsoft Viva in general. What is Microsoft Viva? How does the employee experience and employee engagement map to AI and AI transformation? And then we get really granular in a week 1, use Viva Amplify to communicate that change. Week 2, use Viva Engage to bring users into a community to share. Number 3, set goals and focus your efforts around, what are you hoping to accomplish with AI transformation via Viva goals? And we have one built for each Viva module. And of course, these also link to external resources. There's videos embedded. You can put your own tips on it. And then ultimately, once they're published, you can track your reporting and measure how you're doing so far. Great, so that's Viva Amplify. Now I want to jump over into Viva Engage. If you're using Viva Engage, this might look familiar to you. I am in this community's discovery view, and I see a new community here for Copilot adoption. If I were a network admin, I would also see a prompt to launch this community. We've already created it in this demo tenant, so I'm just going to jump in and show you what it looks like. So right off the bat, I see it comes standard with a Microsoft Copilot cover photo and a profile picture to help orient folks as they land in this community around what the purpose for this community is. It's pre-invited, we'll go with that, different members based on their Copilot license, as we had touched on earlier. So just these users are the folks that actually have Copilot licenses that are going to be automatically brought in here because there's going to be relevant content for them. Now, as an admin, I can also see that Copilot is going to provide ideas and suggestions for my posts. So I can open Copilot and I can take advantage of Copilot's writing help to help me post back into this community to provide recommendations and tips. Similar to Amplify, I can also choose if I want to post on behalf of a different account. And then I get all the rich text editor benefits, just like you'd experience in any other engaged community. I can make it an announcement. I can hyperlink to things. I can add beautiful videos and imagery, et cetera, et cetera. As I go down, I can see some pinned conversations here, welcoming users here, asking questions for, and all of this content, of course, is going to also be absorbed into answers in Viva as well, so that other employees can benefit from the learnings and sharings that are taking place here. So that's just a couple of the ways that we're using communications in Viva to help advance AI and help organizations on their Copilot journey. We have a lot more news to share at Ignite in November, so we hope you'll stay tuned. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Mike Walsh, who's going to take us through number 4.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Mike Holste. All right. Number 4. Is all about accelerating transformation with actionable insights. So kind of recapping so far, we've talked about how we want to, understanding and driving transformation starts with understanding within, getting feedback, understanding how employees are working, and then driving better communications and communities. Now we're going to look at okay, now we've got this up and running. How are our adoption and impact programs going within Copilot? So hopefully by now you've heard of the Microsoft Copilot dashboard. The big news over the summer was that this is now included with Copilot for Microsoft 365. And this is a dashboard that helps leaders understand, who is active, how much adoption is going on within Copilot, how folks are actually using Copilot, what are the different apps that they're using it for. You can compare against different types of impacts to see what might be the time savings for Copilot usage across groups. And then we have access to learning resources within the dashboard itself. So with that, I want to kind of give a quick video of the dashboard.
Maximize the value of your AI investment with Microsoft Copilot Dashboard. Powered by Microsoft Viva, Copilot Dashboard helps business and IT leaders measure the use of Copilot for Microsoft 365 in their organization. Let's take a look. This purpose-built experience helps leaders identify areas where Copilot can transform work. See how people across the organization are using Copilot and Microsoft 365 apps to increase productivity and enhance how they work. quantify time savings for Copilot users and compare their behaviors before and after adoption, and with those who don't have Copilot. Explore employee feedback about the value and benefits of Copilot. And access learning based on Microsoft research, evolving industry best practices, and the latest usage insights to stay informed on how AI is transforming work. All this information enables a better understanding of the effect Copilot has on performance across the organization. Drive meaningful changes in Copilot usage and adoption with Microsoft Copilot Dashboard powered by Viva.
Great. All right. So that was the Microsoft Copilot dashboard, and that comes again with Microsoft 365 Copilot. And it provides a ton of resources and information for folks to understand usage and adoption within their company. But we also know that some organizations want to dig deeper and they want to learn more, and they want to create their own custom reports with their own attributes to get in more granular reporting, to customize and filter data sets for other behavioral metrics or other Copilot metrics that may not be available within the Viva dashboard itself. That's where we have advanced Copilot reporting capabilities and Viva Insights. And this does come with your Viva Insights license. So if you have that, you can use this to dig deeper into Copilot usage at your company. You can, again, filter and group these reports with any organizational attribute that you have, even compare it to different behavioral metrics. So you can start creating and customizing your own reports. You can pull in larger data sets beyond the 28 days that historical data that the dashboard currently has. So you can look at a longer time range of Copilot impact. You can bring in different sets of third-party data to start customizing your own reports to see how Copilot usage relates to different business outcomes. And then finally, you can customize the definitions of different Copilot metrics so that really fits the needs of your organization. So to kind of recap what's available within Viva Insights, it's really the ability to customize and create your own reports with Copilot data and your organizational data to your liking. And at the same time, if you skip to the next slide, we've also built in pre-built reports to help you understand further adoption and impact. So we have these pre-built reports to measure adoption and impact even further that you can customize and tailor to your heart's desire to really get a better look and a more granular look with dynamic data slicers, advanced filtering and groups, more trend lines to really understand how adoption and impact are going within your organization and for specific teams, groups, comparing usage of different, Copilot to non-Copilot groups and across your organization. So if you skip to the next one, and this is the impact report. Again, a very similar setup where you can use this pre-built report off the shelf and start customizing it immediately for your needs to go even deeper than what the dashboard can offer. And then finally, the next one, we will talk about how some companies are using the dashboard today to really understand this. So Dentsu is a creative company, a creative media company that has global reach. They've been an early user of Copilot itself and are using it to really help their creative professionals get work done faster, summarize meetings, create documents, and just kind of take a lot of lessen the administrative load within their creative professionals to get back to doing more high value work when it comes to delivering those creative deliverables for their clients. And so with the Copilot dashboard, they've been able to see some of the business impact and the business value with this. They've been able to see that because of Copilot, professionals are able to save 30 minutes per day using Copilot versus those folks who are not using Copilot. So they're able to reinvest this time savings back into more of that higher value strategic work to really move their business forward. It helps both their business and their customers and their employees just really focus on the high value activities that drive the business forward. So with that, I'm going to move it over to Lucy to take us through number 5.
Lucy, you're on mute.
Thank you. So I'm going to take us through accelerating goal achievement as our final way here. So Copilot and Viva Goals is making it even easier to author, manage, and review goals. And I'm gonna just talk about what that looks like in practice and the impact it can have. So with Copilot and Viva Goals, you can take existing documents, you can take ideas, and upload them into Viva Goals. You're seeing this happen on the screen right now. And the Viva Goals will recommend goals for you and your organization. And then you can, of course, tailor, refine those recommendations based on, what you know about your organization that Copilot might not know. And then Copilot and Viva Goals will learn along with you and give you better goals next time and help you refine better the next time that you use the product. You'll also receive personalized guidance and recommendations from this kind of assistive interface to generate your goals. So as you see in this, you can go directly into your Copilot and Viva Goals. You'll say, hey, I need some new goals. And it starts returning you ideas based on what it knows about your organization and about your department. And then the final piece here is generating goal summaries. So we know that organizations spend a lot of time putting together updates and sharing summaries and trying to gather all of the different metrics and data points at the end of a business cycle, especially in reporting to leadership teams. And so with Copilot and Viva Goals, this becomes very easy. So you just generate a summary, and there's even an option there to make it more professional, to make it more succinct, to make it more casual, to give greater detail. So with an easy copy and paste, you're able to kind of take what exists within the goals product and then share broadly in a way that makes sense for your organization. And so with that, I want to thank our speakers today for joining me and sharing the latest innovations from their product areas and how they can help you accelerate workforce transformation. I wanted to share some upcoming community events outlined on the slide here. So we have the AI Community Conference in Toronto, Canada. We have community days coming to Chicago, to NYC, Experts Live in Europe, TechCon 365 DC, Experts Live Europe, and Microsoft Ignite in November 18th, which is a very big one and where we'll be landing a lot more Viva innovation. So you won't want to miss that. Next call will be on October 16th at 9 a.m. PT, so same time. And we'll have David Spar, who is one of our leaders really driving how AI and Copilot are transforming the employee experience at Microsoft. And he'll be discussing how Microsoft HR is using Viva and Copilot for Microsoft 365 to empower employees right here in Microsoft. So it'll be a really great case study and a good opportunity to bring your questions if this is something that you're thinking about in your own organization. So with that, I wanted to thank everybody. I don't know if we have much time for a Q&A. Maybe one or two questions if we want to throw the first question up on the screen. So I think we'll just do one because I know we're coming up on time. But Mike, this is a question for both of you. What is the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to using your product areas to drive workforce transformation? I think you both landed a lot of goodness in your section, but where is the best place to begin?
I'll probably let Mike start with the dashboard.
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, the dashboard is, well, I was thinking the dashboard, so Mike Holsey threw the dashboard out too. So, I mean, I think that is definitely the obvious spot to start. Like, you gotta measure what matters. And the dashboard comes included with Microsoft 365 Copilot. So use that to really understand what groups are using it, how are they using it, and what are the time savings you can get from that. I think on top of that, one more thing I would suggest is that data is great. It gives you rich like behavioral data, but we also know that there's a big people component to this. So understanding how your people are feeling about this, about change in Copilot, is also a big opportunity. And we have seeded templates within Glint, within Pulse to do that, and the ability to bring that data and feedback right into the dashboard itself. So I think you want to don't discount the employee sentiment associated with this massive change that we're all going through.
Yeah, that's great. And I would add some other low-hanging fruit, especially from like the seeded to premium journey. So many folks right now, when we talk with customers, they don't know if they as an individual have access to M365 Copilot yet. So low-hanging fruit, even using the comms tools that you currently have to communicate. Has your organization purchased Copilot? Who has access to it? How can they be using it? And of course, those are things you can use the dashboard to sort out who's using it, who has license, who should have licenses. But then kind of democratizing that out to the community, let people go in, add them into a place where they can talk about it. Because I think, and I know this is true within Microsoft and at a lot of our customers, the power users of Copilot have become kind of standard employees. It's not always the admins who are demonstrating the best ways to use it. It's people who are passionate about the technology, who are finding applications for it in their actual role. So let them come together and have a place to communicate that out and to share with their coworkers. And that can get started today.
Great. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you to Mark for kind of giving us the product strategy behind so many of our Glint developments. And thanks to everyone joining us today and on demand, and we will see you next time.